Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie and television discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Porters, and joining me today, he's creepy, he's kooky, he's altogether spooky, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
Hey, Adam, I know that you say that every celebrity has a giant head and a little body, but really, Christina Ricci is the queen of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's got the largest head for a little person I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it's 3/4 forehead, but then again, everyone on this podcast can certainly bang along with that idea. And he's still miffed this isn't a Pugsley show, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and Wednesday and I, well, we clearly have the same instincts about dance.
Oh, yeah. We're all dancing a jig over here because, holy cow, I did not know that this show would be what seems to be quite the phenomenon on the internet.
Oh, people are loving this on the old TikTok and Insta Reels and stuff.
If you'd have asked me, it's just like, oh yeah, what do you think the heat is on a live action Addams Family? And I'd have been like, oh, I don't know about all of that. I mean, like, we had the Rob Zombie's The Munsters earlier this year, and honestly, okay. I thought that was okay, actually.
What are you talking about? The entire theme of the Munsters is completely missing from that show.
And also, there's a big difference. The Munsters were never goth; they were camp.
Oh no,
Addams
for sure.
Family was camp, but also goth. And you got to think that like Jenny Ortega might be the first verifiable, certifiable scream queen of the Gen Z generation.
I think so.
And you take that and you couple it with Wednesday Addams, who is probably every little girl's favorite goth queen from like the time that they're 4 years old. Of course, this is going to get some steam on things like TikTok and stuff. Is steam the right word? Heat, clout, whatever you want to call it.
Heat,
juice,
steam, heat.
Yeah, I am an expert in the youthful things.
Any of these kids getting together, putting on a show, doing the stuff. You know what they do. Come on. You like it, you love it. And if you like this show, we'd like you to support us over at patreon.com/HMP. There you get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. And we got a little Wednesday Addams this week on the Patreon show talking about our own funerals. Yeah, that's right. We keep it fresh on the Christmas shows, talking all about how we're going to die one day. But it's a lot more fun than it sounds. It's not super morbid or anything, but at the same time, too, hey. Listen, if you want to support this show, you could be like all of our fine folks, but we got a new one on the list here. Marty B comes in at $5 this week over the Patreon. Sean, what do we got for Marty B?
Marty B, we are going to get back to you next week because Sweet Shawnzy from the internet totally forgot to do that this week.
Sweet Shawnzy got snowed out. It's okay.
I am sorry. I totally forgot. Sorry, Marty. I absolutely will have a banger for you next week.
And you know what the funny thing is like he will have something good for you because when I shot your name, he already knew what he was going to do. And I think you were so confident in it that you were just like, well, that's already done.
It's also been a crazy week here too. So
we've all had those moments. But if you want to be like, hey, listen, we need some more names in this. So if you want to be like Marty, get it. We need a whole sloth of people in here.
Call him the new Marty with the old familiar Marty flavor.
New Marty now with more.
That's why we don't let Bruce nickname people anymore.
You see, a couple of weird things happen, and you just have to kind of go like, all right, no more of that. Okay, but we'd like to have plenty more of you. Patreon.com/HMP. Join up today. We really appreciate it. All right, so let's get into it. Wednesday is on Netflix, and here is the trailer.
Miss Addams, you've certainly had a very interesting educational journey. 8 schools in 5 years.
Hey, freak. This is a closed practice.
The only person who gets to torture my brother is me. I did the world a favor. People like Dalton shouldn't be allowed to procreate. Getting expelled was just a bonus.
You will love Nevermore. It's a magical place where I met your mother. The son I love.
Finally, you will be among peers who understand you. Maybe you'll even make some friends.
Want to take a stab at being social? I do like stabbing. Little did I know I'd be stepping into a nightmare. Full of mystery, mayhem, and murder. I think I'm going to love it here.
Alrighty, that was the trailer for Wednesday. You know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Oh, what you got this week, Bruce?
Well, Charles Addams introduced the world to the Addams family in 1938, courtesy of The New Yorker. And The New Yorker, is that a magazine or a newspaper? I really don't. Okay, because I don't know. My mom only let me read that Star thing growing up. You know, that tabloid thing? That's all I got. We didn't get The New Yorker. But these first Addams Family comics were single panel gags that were not related to one another. So you can kind of think like Far Side, but featuring a specific family in every comic. And when it comes to this family, it's important to think about what Charles Addams was trying to say with the comics. Now, the best summation I have run across is that the Addams family is everything the ideal American family was not in 1938. This is most obvious when you take into account how little they care about the opinions of others. And my understanding of this was that's not quite the attitude you find of most old moneyed families in the Northeast. I don't know. Is that a fair assessment, Sweet Shanzi?
Oh, yeah.
So the Addams family, they dress in black rather than whatever fancy clothes those Gatsby types were known for wearing. Also, 1938 was the tail end of the Great Depression, or as my grandfather called it, the ASS end of the Great Depression. And whereas a lot of aristocratic families of that time fell upon financial hardships for the first time in nearly 300 years, well, money seems to be no object for the Addamses. Now, here's where it gets narratively interesting, in my opinion. Despite the seemingly sadistic interests of the family, there is no denying the house is filled with love. It's even made a punchline just how much Gomez loves and adores his wife. And if this is the opposite of an ideal American family, well, that says a lot about American husbands at the time. But the Addams family embraces death because it is death that makes us appreciate being alive. And the Addams family definitely live life to its fullest, being at one with nature, having no fear of a pet octopus or tarantula or scorpion. You know, other regular people, in quotes, grimace in disgust at these animals. But Pugsley and Wednesday know they're all God's creatures. And the idea of the Addams family as having a better grasp on what is important than the floral print dress and golf shirt wearing masses has stuck with the characters even as they've moved on to creators other than Charles Addams. This is, of course, no more obvious than when Barry Sonnenfeld took over the creative control of the family in the 90s. And what we saw is a person shine a little bit of light upon a shadow that hadn't been sort of explored too much before, because the family's daughter, Wednesday, was kind of a third-tier character on the TV show and described in the comics by Charles Addams himself as simply, quote, her mother's daughter. But being portrayed as a Morticia Addams mini-me just isn't enough for this character under Sonnenfeld's guidance, because he saw amazing potential in the character, something that was only augmented by the absolutely perfect casting of Christina Ricci. And I don't know where Tim Burton's inspiration for redefining the character came from, but I have heard that she bore quite a bit of resemblance to a 13-year-old Helena Bonham Carter. And you have to admit that he did dress up Jenny Ortega a little bit like a high school-aged Bellatrix Lestrange in episode 4. That's fair. But back to the point. Sonnenfeld and Burton saw young girls being encouraged to be bubbly and pretty and, well, maybe shallow. And most importantly, always being told that they need to listen to authority and do exactly as they're told without question. Well, Wednesday was the exact opposite of that, and a hero was born. And I love how my daughter and my nieces, they see power in Wednesday's rejection of the world's expectations, And I've never been a young girl, so I can't speak firsthand about the appeal of the character, but there's no doubt that she packs incredible and instant appeal. So much appeal, in fact, that in our present day, the little girl who doesn't love Wednesday Addams is probably the one who's considered a weirdo. And speaking of weirdos, Adam, do you have a list?
Well, if that wasn't enough, let me sell everybody on this yet again revamped Addams Family Netflix show, because this sucker has everything. You got Tim Burton showing us that there might still be some life in this old goat yet. You've got the new horror it girl, Jenny Ortega, not just a pretty face and heiress to the Ortega Taco Company. All right, I made that last part up. We got Catherine Zeta-Jones finally getting the role I think people cast her in for at least 20 years. Louis Guzman thanking God above and Paul Thomas Anderson for giving him a career, so now that he gets to make pissy face with Mrs. Michael Douglas. We got Captain Phasma, Christina Ricci. Wowzers, that's all I'll say on this family program. We've got a gross version of Thing, which seems right. Creepy kid in a normal school, a quick game of everybody out of the pool. Hogwarts for spooky kids, Luna Lovegood, the werewolf, wild cello playing, kids dying. Well, maybe not, but maybe. Large Marge 2.0, blue-eyed siren, a couple of tall, lanky guys who really don't seem all that different from each other. But don't worry, they've got a nerdy kid. Werewolf, creature, monster, thingy, we're not sure yet. And because Stone Cold says so, that's a Medusa reference. Impressionistic arts, second-tier Jackie Earl Haley sheriff, a mayor who looks like Eddie Murphy but sounds like Keith David, pilgrim flashbacks, therapy sessions, escape attempts, crazy dancing. No MC Hammer yet, but this is only the first half, so fingers crossed. Altogether, this is essentially Sherlock Holmes. Wait a minute. Is this Emo Enola Holmes? This show's got everything.
Nancy Drew Some Blood is what I was calling.
Oh, that's a nice one. That's way better than what I pulled. But
so, spoiler warning right here, because I could see where some people who are Wednesday Addams fans might check out this podcast and they weren't as interested in any of our previous topics. So how about we go ahead and start off with that?
Yeah. So spoiling for the first 4 episodes here. I don't know that what I knew to expect going into this at all. I mean, I knew the show was named Wednesday, but for some odd reason, I suppose I imagined the family being more involved still, but I was kind of shocked to see that hearing gone. At least so far within the first 4 episodes, I'll say that.
I think I'm with you, because even though it's called Wednesday, I was just imagining it's a new Addams Family show.
But focuses with a more heavier focus on Wednesday, one would suspect.
And I thought it might be like Wednesday at school during the day, but then she still comes home, Leave It to Beaver style.
Yeah.
Malcolm in the Middle style, something like that. But no, she's off at a boarding school.
John, any expectations coming into this at all? He's dead.
I think Bruce is right. I'm glad you said that, Sean.
And handsome. What is going on here? Something.
Sorry,
really
I had my
bizarre.
mute button on. Sorry, I had my mute button on. I'd been talking for like a minute and a half.
And like
So
normal, we've been ignoring.
No. I've been saying like, yep, and as you guys are talking, like, it's just been muted the entire time.
Nice.
What a dummy. Okay, so
8 years
going
he's been
into
doing
this
this
show, I had no expectations because I've had very low expectations of Tim Burton. However, like I said last week at the end of the program, I still think there's something to Tim Burton. And I think that when it comes to the Addams Family, he has a lot to add to that. It seems like the right fit, the right match. However, I think that it helps that this isn't his show. He was a hired gun. I know that it says Tim Burton all over all of the literature for this show, but the fact of the matter is the dudes who done made Smallville made this show. And Tim Burton came in to direct a few episodes. And once you put those things together, you see how this show came to be and why this show looks the way it does. Because while there are some Burton flourishes, like especially when you're looking at that low angle of the school and things like that, her playing cello on the roof, that's very Tim Burton-y.
There's just a couple of shots that are just so Burton that you just can't help but like see it.
There's no way he didn't have a hand in it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, like this show, going into it with absolutely no expectation, and not having any idea who Jenny Ortega was, you know, to get to the end of the first episode and being like, oh, okay, we're not watching Riverdale here. Like, we're watching something far superior to that product.
Well, this does have one thing that Riverdale, at least the episode, the fair little bit of Riverdale we saw, this has fun to it. Riverdale, I can't even say the flipping word, doesn't have fun to it. There's no fun involved in that show.
Also, something with expectations is when I first saw the credits, I was thrown for a loop because when Miles Millar's name came up, I thought it said Mark Millar, who's had this Netflix contract, and I was really intrigued for a moment. Like, what in the world does a Mark Millar Wednesday Addams look like? But no, it was Miles Miller.
It certainly wouldn't be no PG-13, I'll tell you that.
And it'd be Josh Duhamel as their love interest or something.
Oh, man. Josh Duhamel is a high school student. I don't understand why she doesn't like me. It's just like, it's probably because you're 46.
Like, I know that Jenny Ortega is in the new Scream, right? And what else is she in?
Big screen wise, I know her from X and the new Scream. Yeah.
Yeah. And in 2022,
Small screen. Yeah, I was going to say.
We got a wild delay here.
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to let you talk, Adam. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We got a wild delay that goes in and out sometimes. But yeah, she was in the Babysitter sequel, which was good. And she was in 4 seconds of Studio 666, the Foo Fighters little movie, which I watched last night. It's okay. It's fun enough for what it is. But yeah, apparently she's been like one of these kid actresses who on like a Disney show or something at some point.
Yeah, she's a Disney kid. I know that.
But because a lot of it makes sense because she's really, really good in everything, and it's like way beyond somebody like even at 20, she still feels like she's got been doing this way longer, you know?
And I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. I guess it depends on what she wants from her career, but she's 20, but she can still play. I mean, she's tiny, you know, so she's still able to play like 14 or so here, and it's believable. But I think in X, I almost struggled more to believe she was 18 than I do to believe she's 14.
I was watching this. I was watching this with that woman that I live with, and she kept saying,
"Has she found you yet?"
She's very short. Because she's very short, and so whenever somebody who's short shows up on screen, it's like, how short? She kept asking me, how tall is that girl? How tall is that girl? And so I had to look it up. 5'1".
Woo! And that's pocket size.
Mm-hmm.
But I was shocked at like I said, I didn't know where this was going, and it has that Burton feel, but it doesn't feel like, for example, how Dark Shadows felt. Which felt like that oozed Tim Burton from every single pore. This has Tim Burton's, kind of seed in it, but it is not like, it's not screaming him like so many other Tim Burton films tend to do.
It feels like the most broad appeal thing he's done since, I don't know, Batman Returns.
Guys, if I may,
yeah,
it feels more Pee-wee's Big Adventure than Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, perfect. That's a perfect way. I was thinking more about the tail end of his career when he started changing, but I should have rolled back the clock. Perfect way to put it. And what is Wednesday if not a slightly cooler female Pee-wee?
Yeah,
slightly.
I mean, cool is in the eye of the beholder.
I understand that this is a YA television show, so I do enjoy it, but I also understand while watching it that this isn't made for me.
Yeah,
and so basically, this show gave me room to look around on the show, meaning that like, hey, who's doing the camera work? Oh, hey, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Like who's doing the lion's share or what here? And to be honest with you, I think that helped Tim Burton immensely. That he doesn't get to be his Tim Burtoniest, he's a collaborator, not the only guy.
I mean, the project's probably too big in scope. There's too many, working with the Netflix. I mean, has he ever done television before?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so this is like a whole new ball game. So it was probably a little easier for him to, share the job to be done.
It's so crazy to think that Tim Burton has gotten to a point in his career now where, like, hey, should we hire Tim Burton to direct a TV show? Is he like, you think that he can do it? Where this is the same guy who, 20 years ago was like, I'm making I want to make a stop motion scary movie with that's about Halloween and Christmas. And Disney was like, yeah, that sounds good to us. We want to be in the Tim Burton business.
And now 60-year-old Danny Elfman is like, buffer than everybody and just going on world tours. It's unbelievable, this guy.
Hey, you got to keep it tight when your wife is your wife.
Yeah. Good for that guy.
Is he married to Oingo or Boingo?
Isn't that a Marty Sid Marty Krofft character?
Yeah. Were you Oingo or Boingo, Danny? I can never keep it straight.
Well, looking at his wife as being Bridget Fonda, he married Boingo.
Boingo.
Oh my goodness. Does he know that she was flirting with that guy in Seattle in 1992?
Gotta be careful.
All right, back to the Wednesday. I don't know. How do we get off on that tangent?
I don't know. It's bizarre. This is what the show
I
does.
It was one of those things where I almost couldn't believe this is the first time Tim Burton had worked in this world of the Addams Family.
It feels like it is just tailor-made for him, and I'm sure that there's a lot of, folks out there, perhaps younger folks that, don't, for nothing, but probably think he directed those two Addams Family movies that Barry Sonnenfeld directed.
I can guarantee you that you talk to enough people, there's a little bit of a Mandela effect about that. I bet you that there are people, especially with just a little bit of prompting, that would absolutely believe that.
I have to tell a quick Barry Sonnenfeld Addams Family related story, and so he kind of jumps around in the book and everything. So I'm still kind of in the first of it, but he mentioned during the Addams Family how they were trying to get MC Hammer for the song that's in the show, and here's how they wooed him. They flew him and his crew in and everything, and they had this great giant chicken dinner for them and everything. And that's bad. That's like, it already seems like that's like, ooh, that's a little like, why would seems like an odd choice. It's worse than that. It was at 10 a.m. for their meeting. So,
that's not a typical time for dinner.
Not a typical time for dinner. But worse than that, it worked. And
oh my gosh!
Well, yeah, it worked because they brought him in and they kind of wined and dined them, and then they were like, "Yeah, we'll have to put our song in your movie." It's just like, oh, that's just, I don't know. It just seemed wrong. It was just like, you hear something is horrible, and then you're like, oh, that wouldn't have worked. That would have. And they were like, no. This is good.
Fast forward 10 years and he's paying MC Hammer to go away every time he makes a movie. Like, I'm here. Come on, man. You got something for me.
You need to know a song for Men in Black, don't you? We got Big Willie for that. No. Come on, you and me.
Better than him, I promise.
You remember 1993? We were buddies.
So the cast in this is pretty cool, man. Like the cast keeps giving you nice little, nice little fun discoveries. You got Christina Ricci, who, it's fair to call it stunt casting, but she has a legitimate character, I think. I mean, we've only seen half the season so far, but it looks like it's not just like the Smallville type, not Smallville, but the Arrowverse is what I meant. The Arrowverse type, where they would have all the Smallville characters have like cameos, but a lot of times they didn't really amount to anything. But this looks like they're really working with Christina Ricci here, and kind of funny for me to see her with hair any color other than black. I don't know. How about you guys?
Listen, you can give me
I love Christina Ricci. I think she's great. I think that there is a more than 75% chance that she had to go through a whole bunch when she first started in the business, and for her to still be working constantly, because she's always working, this girl.
Shockingly healthy, I think. Yeah.
Like I think that it's great, and to have her in this really it adds a level of credibility, weirdly enough, to the show. And I think that I just think that she's the best. Christina Ricci's just great.
And I don't know if you guys are fans of Garfunkel and Oates or not, but you should probably know that I am a Garfunkel. And
there was no doubt in my mind that you were.
So Ricky Lindholm being the therapist is kind of a nice treat for me too.
Yeah, I like seeing her. And the best part is like with all of the casting and everything with Gwendolyn Christie, all this is like there's so many great red herring characters that you can always kind of point to, and everyone always looks a little bit guilty. And that's another thing that I certainly did not see coming in this was it's kind of a murder mystery sort of thing. And like I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because again, I don't even think I'd watch a trailer for this thing. I think I knew nothing.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to be a mystery either. Like I said, I was expecting it to just totally be, I don't know. I was just expecting it to be more of the same, just with Wednesday at school.
Yeah, just a comedy version of the Addams Family redone with this new cast and stuff like that. And I got something wildly different. And I was like, oh, well, wow. Surprised by Hollywood. It happens every now and then.
Detective stuff is like just an evergreen genre. I'm sorry, but every generation has loved their kid detectives. Am I wrong about that?
No, not at all. You're right.
Wow, man, when I was in elementary school, you may not believe this, but I actually read some Hardy Boys books, and there was somebody had stole something from the art class at some point. So me and my buddy Chris, we tried to set up some sting operation, Hardy Boys style, to see if we might be able to lure in people in to try to steal things from the art. No one did. But we had a good time planning the thing just to see if we could try to get somebody in there to steal some stuff. It never really worked, but so it happens. It happens even when you're 7 years old.
All right, Adam, how do you end a story with no ending?
I don't. Oh shoot, I forgot.
And then we boned.
There you go.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy, I'm sorry.
I'm telling you, it saves you like a parachute every time. That thing.
It keeps you from being like a canon movie where you're interesting at first, but then you just don't care about the end.
The last 45 minutes are no good.
You know what? I don't care how America gets invaded.
Oh man, but that might be their best movie ever. Which is really saying something because it's not that great. But we said this before. I think it bears discussing again because there was a whole lot of conversation online ahead of the actual show being released about the casting of the family. Mm-hmm. I know that we saw her talking to her mom because we got a brief appearance of Catherine Zeta-Jones. I know we saw Pugsley. Have we even seen Luis Guzman as
he's in the car.
They're in the car at the beginning.
That's right. Well, I have to confess I'd seen a little bit more than this, so I couldn't remember when I had first seen him. But yeah, it is pretty good to note, though, just like we said, the absence of the Addams Family, particularly for us expectant Addams Family. And that puts a lot of pressure on Jenny Ortega to really carry it. But I think they give her pretty interesting supporting characters there at the school. And putting her in like American Hogwarts is an interesting choice. But I still think Wednesday Addams works better as an outcast where, they have got to find ways to make her an outcast even among the outcasts. But I think it would have been more interesting if she got sent to like a traditional boarding school where she had to kind of fit in than in the monster.
See, I feel like you can take that and do like, that's another season or so down the road. I mean,
this does feel a little Hogwarts, a little Percy Jackson being at the school.
Yeah, I mean, you already know the beats if she's going to a regular school. You already know what all that looks like. I mean, the fun thing about her going to a school filled with outcasts is that you kind of don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. I think that there's I'm kind of feeling like
actually,
this is what's happening.
We did see what happens to her at a regular school, like when she dropped the piranha. That's how she wound up at Nevermore. So they just
right. I mean, it's all going to be it's all going to be the same joke.
I'm the only guy I know that loses debates to myself. I got to work on that.
But I think that the thing that kind of is realistic about the show, if there's anything that's realistic, it's that kids gravitate towards the mean kids. And she's the meanest kid in that school. And and so kids are like, I need to find out more about this super mean kid. And that is kind of the way it goes in real life. I have 2 daughters. One of them is mean and she has all the friends in the world. And the other one is open and wants everyone to be her friend. And she has very few close friends. Yeah. That is the way it works.
When I was young, my dad said, mean, wealthy, attractive. Pick two because you're going to get two. I just say I've never had a wealthy woman yet.
Has
Love you, honey, if you're listening.
Don't worry, she's not.
No. There's about I think at least a dozen ladies that listen to the show, but that's any more than that and it starts to get a little crowded. I love the it's stupid, it's sitcom cliche, but splitting the room down the middle, I don't know what it is. There's still always a bit of me that's just gonna like that stupid conceit, and then especially with the wild different colors between the variation between the one side versus the other. Love little moments like that. I'm thankful that there's not more like it's the redoing of famous songs. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. It's not super bad. Yeah. It's not great, but it's not like
when it's orchestral or strings, I'll allow it. Like that whole Metallica one, I would allow it because it's just so different. Like you couldn't plug in the original song there.
Yeah, and if it makes Lars unhappy, I think it also makes me happy. So I hope that they didn't pay them for that. I hope
they Napstered it.
Yeah, just Napstered that right off to where it just kind of sends him into a little blind monkey rage, and he just tries to bang on those little drums, and they sound like crap. Sorry, Lars. We know I've said too much, and then we boned.
You're getting there. Now, pull the old cord on the parachute about 3 words sooner next
time.
Fair.
There's 2 things that I really don't like about the show. One is that Wednesday Addams at times on the show can be a real hold for applause, scary Sue.
Oh.
And I mean that because like she knows everything there is to know, which is fine. But then on top of all of that, she also knows martial arts. And that's when I'm like, okay, I'm done here.
Well,
we are done here.
The fencing.
I couldn't imagine any member of the Addams family not being able to have cat-like reflexes because, man, you're getting attacked with like flails in the middle of the night and stuff. Now, the martial arts, yeah, maybe that's a bit much, but I'm just going to say it's probably happened to her more than 0 times that she's had a large wild cat. And I don't mean like feral cat. I mean like mountain lion probably dumped on her in the middle of the night. So I can kind of buy that if you're buying into the family. But I also get where you're saying the scary Sue. I like that pun. But if anything, I would say it was because not so much the physical aspect, but maybe she reads the clues a little too quickly. Maybe they give her too much intellect or something that they could balance it with. But I like the fighting part.
When she's practicing that cello, she also needs to be practicing some katas and stuff,
Oh, man, she'd be better at fencing if she used her cello bow.
I thought the fencing stuff was fun, and again, also a nice point of like, hey, let's take off the masks and actually because that fencing would be a lot more fun. We'd all watch it if they could get hurt a lot more, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Because think about it, like no one's watching that because like, oh, we got the soft little tips, your face is all meshed up. Take it all off.
One time when I was in college, 2 drunk guys got in a fight and one of them pulled a knife. Way bigger crowd than I've ever seen at a fencing match.
Yeah, they were excited because they knew some real danger was about to happen. Ooh, you touched me in the chest with a corked sword? Who cares? Get some blades in there.
Yeah.
Step it up.
The only other thing that I don't like about the show much is that the actors who are great on the show are fantastic on the show. But the ones who are bad are so bad that it's just striking. I'm not saying it's like a Dexter situation where Dexter is the only good actor on that show, but it's one of those things where like, when Wednesday is talking to the sheriff, those two are really good actors.
Mm-hmm.
But then the son comes in and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, I think it gets tough to fill a high school aged character cast of this size.
Sure.
Without getting some inconsistency there.
Sure. But I mean, you've got Jenny Ortega, who is about to be, if she is not already, a massive, massive movie star. She's going to be huge and she's going to be able to do whatever she wants because she's great. But then standing next to her is a guy who feels like He might be a producer's kid, maybe.
He was in Gifted, the kind of X-Men-y sort of spin-off show that we covered way back when, that was on Fox for a hot second.
He was?
Mm-hmm.
It's surprising I don't remember him because he's so good.
No, that show itself was also of quite the
Really
memorable
good
category that, like, I was like, name someone in that show. And you're like, was Jillian McMahon in that show? We're like, we don't know.
X-Men thing?
Yeah.
Didn't we watch that?
We watched at least like 2 episodes, I think. For like I said,
totally
but that's
forgotten about that. I'm
but exactly.
Thinking, I've never heard of this show, Gifted, and then slowly it came to me.
Exactly. That's the point. Is that you didn't know because it was not a show that was marketed well.
And then I know a few people who are aspiring actors in this high school age range, and I got to tell you that like a casting call for that has to be a nightmare because that's the age when everybody thinks they've got what it takes.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there are only so many known quantity actors that are available, and the schedule works and they're the right fit or whatever. So I just imagine they get so fatigued after, I don't know, couple of thousand of identical kids all auditioning for these parts that they kind of maybe don't always make the best decisions. It's like the last rounds of your fantasy draft and your eyes are kind of glazing over and you just want to go home and go to bed.
I got another kicker. What? That was a mistake.
Yeah, especially since this is a baseball league, dude.
Oh, what a real big mistake.
I don't think anyone saw a fantasy football joke coming in tonight. Good job, boys.
Yeah.
I got the best punter in the National League. Okay.
I think the biggest thing for me is that, like, as long as I want to let me scratch that idea. My biggest thing is this, as far as like characters that I don't particularly like, and I'm fine with just about everybody. The blue contacts on the Siren character, it just drives me up a wall.
Oh, it made Lindsay crazy too. She cannot stand it.
It's so, and then she's not blinking at a regular rate as well, because I'm sure that those may not be the most comfortable of things to wear, I would imagine.
Or maybe they're too comfortable.
Maybe they're too comfortable, and she really likes to. I don't know.
Well, you guys have noticed that Wednesday Addams doesn't blink at all.
Oh, yes, I was going to mention that. Of like that works for that character, but not for the other ones. And I don't know, just her eyes are like, her character's supposed to be, a turd, so that's fine. And I think everybody's just there, or at least online, people were like, the show is racist because they don't like this girl, and I'm like, she's like, this is a Benetton ad if you've ever seen one. There's everybody in
kidding.
this.
Get out of here.
I'm like, you're absolutely nuts, and it's just like there's bad guys and good guys on every. It feels like they very specifically tried to be as even-handed as they possibly could, but it doesn't feel like they're doing that as well. At least, I don't know. Maybe it's done well. It feels like all of these kids should be at this thing. They're all of kind of the right sort of age and vibe and everything, and it makes sense. Bruce, we got to talk about my guess of your favorite character of the nerdy beekeeping kid.
I'll tell you what, I call him Moose because the actor's name I think is like Musa Mustafa, and I just think he looks like a guy I would call Moose if I knew him in real life. But I can't remember the character's name, but he is the beekeeper, man, and the guy's mostly good. I was kind of surprised that something aimed at this age group in 2022 would play the, like, even if she doesn't like me, I'll just keep harassing her every day until she does card with that kid. But he did seem a little harmless, I guess. I don't know. Where do you guys come down on that one?
Well, we all kind of knew somebody in high school that was like that, but maybe for whatever reason they were always kind of like just a smaller sort of kid, but had that kind of tenacity. Like chicks never really liked him, but he still kind of kept at it, and like one day he got somebody.
I also knew like kids in high school that would like pick their nose and show it to you and then eat it and laugh when you got grossed out. Like just because somebody did something in high school doesn't mean it was okay.
Yeah,
but I know what you mean. It is very familiar.
Yeah, for sure.
The Eugene kid, that's his name, Eugene.
Yeah.
So the thing about him is that they're trying to recapture that magic of Addams Family Values, which they're not wrong to try to do, which is, you had that nerdlinger kid from Addams Family Values who is like, he's like, I could never forget you. You're too weird. Remember?
Yeah.
And now he's in, like TV everywhere all the time, always. That guy. I think they're trying to recapture that magic. The problem is that the kid from Addams Family Values, there's something inherent about that kid where you're like, there's something that feels like he's out of central casting, whereas the kid who plays Eugene in this, he doesn't seem like he's out of central casting, so it's a bit off. Like it's I'm sure this kid is a nerdlinger for real, but like he doesn't have that typical standard nerdlinger vibe to him, which makes it a little, which makes the chemistry slightly off.
And I do think I agree with you 100% about him trying to evoke feelings of Addams Family Values. I mean, even though this is a boarding school in the fall semester, they really try to treat it like summer camp a couple times, especially like with the canoe race scene, which, you know, that absolutely makes me think to some of the stuff they did on the lake in Addams Family Values, which was really funny. And even the Pilgrim in Town scene reminds us of when they did like the reenactment of landing on Plymouth Rock, and Christina Ricci's version of Wednesday says they can't share bread with the people who spread disease and killed their ancestors and stuff like that. So, you know, it was pretty funny. But I think they're definitely wanting to evoke what is clearly the superior of the two Sonnenfeld entries in the Addams Family verse.
Yes, that is one of the ones that I need to remember whenever anyone asks me what's a better sequel. I will definitely, I've got to write that down, that Addams Family Value is one of them.
Yeah, because most of the things that people really, really remember, I think, come from Addams Family Values, but because they saw that on video instead of in the theater, they kind of forget that that's where they saw it.
Had you guys seen those two animated Addams Family films that they had not too long ago?
Jenny Tartakovsky.
I think that.
I think so. Yeah, they're recent. That would.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp maybe did the voice of Gomez.
I don't think so. I don't think
because
so.
Anyway, when those were on the horizon, I thought maybe we would cover those for the show.
They're surprisingly good.
But also when they came out, there was just other stuff coming out. So
yeah. The first one,
I was aware of them.
The first one, when I was working in the theater, I would walk around and I'd step in and I saw like a couple seconds of the second one, and or maybe it was the first one, I forget. But they had like some sort of real deep horror reference in one of the jokes that was not like a wildly obvious, joke for the kids and stuff. And I was like, okay, this movie's a lot smarter than I would have expected it to be. And but those shows are really good, and I think that those also kind of pushed the Wednesday Addams character along a little bit as well. I mean, obviously, the Sonnenfeld stuff kind of struck it into that new sphere where, this character is now kind of more established and everything. The cartoon didn't hurt that either.
It's Oscar Isaac who was Gomez Addams. I knew it was like a marquee
There
name.
you go.
So Oscar Isaac, Charlize Theron, Chloe Grace Moritz. I mean, they were taking this thing seriously.
Yeah.
But it's that nice kind of funny and
Wolfhard Nick Kroll. This is great.
Slightly scary thing that you could show a kid that's 7-8 years old that kind of wants to have something spooky, but is still just a child.
It's one of those movies that to me feels like it didn't do that great at the box office, but it did get a sequel. So I don't know how to feel about that, but I feel like it just kind of got ignored when it came out.
Yeah, people didn't see it as much, but hopefully they'll see it more on account of this, because I think that this hopefully will spread people into liking, more Addams Family stuff. And like I said, outside of this, there is so many different other iterations of it that it's kind of fun that you can go back and look at the different versions. I feel like there was an Addams Family cartoon when I was a kid, still around that kind of 90s era when the Addams Family movies came out and everything. I feel like they did it. I don't know. I feel like
I don't know either. Do you remember?
There were so many
Bruce,
of those.
You were watching TV back then. What did you think?
Which one are we talking about here again?
Was there an Addams Family cartoon in the 90s? I feel like
there was. Yes, there was an Addams Family cartoon in the 90s that I maybe watched a minute or two of. Not great, but it existed.
Yeah, I think I was probably, too young to like it, but I still liked it anyways. 1992. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but there was another one that also was 98 to 99 called The New Addams Family.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, wow.
But that was actually live action, so never mind.
Yeah, the 92-93. John Astin is Gomez Addams in there, so it was.
Get out of here!
Yeah,
awesome.
It was good stuff, and that's kind of the one that I grew up with, and of course the little reruns and stuff like that you'd see. But that opened up so much more of that world of Addams Family, and how this then even changes that is so great.
What I remember the most about the Addams Family cartoon is it was right around the same time that the Batman, the animated series, came out. So we had these two kind of gothic animated off of successful family appeal movies coming out at the same time. So I always kind of looped those two together. but obviously one had a little bit more commercial success than the other.
I feel like that may have been a Fox show as well. It's possible. That's just a guess off the top of my head, but I like that, and I was shocked at this and how much this is really taking off, and how much people are really kind of digging on it. And I think really Jenny Ortega is kind of the one that's fueling all of that. And I hope.
Oh my Lord, man, she is so. I cannot state this enough. She leaps off of the screen so hard on the show that there's just no way that she's not going to be a massive deal.
So destined for stardom. Like I wish there was a way to gamble on that sort of thing. Because
no kidding,
100-1, man, easy. She's going to make it.
And she had like the Drew Barrymore role in Scream 5. You know,
I mean, she is. She's got a huge following. She's got like this broad appeal because, she appeals to people like me who see her like as a daughter or like as a kid. But then also to the kids they can see like a peer. And then I'm sure that there's plenty of like 13 and 14-year-old boys that are going to be having the new Wednesday Addams posters up into the room. And I mean, she's just really hits on 4 quadrants pretty well.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt that you're in these good things. That she seems to be picking a lot of really interesting stuff. And I love the fact that like, she's also just kind of like leaned into the horror genre and stuff like that. It's kind of fun because you don't think that they would like young girls would do that.
It's interesting because she's found a niche there, but I don't want her to get like typecast into it. Because I mean, you see something like this, and I want her to have a broad career.
Is that a career for broads?
Okay, I did not say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do also like. I mean, she had a lot of fun with the dance. Apparently, or infamously, I don't know how you'd say it, but on Twitter, she said she was actually sick with COVID and not feeling well at all when they did the dance scene, which maybe explains why there was easily 3 inches of light between them at all times, as school dances should have.
So she
had a lot of fun with it.
So she had COVID during that scene, which means that she ended up just taking the gun off of her belt and shooting the guy with the whip, the sword.
Yep,
exactly.
Sometimes the best things can come from times when you're stressed a little bit, as it were.
But it's that dance scene, of course, that's triggered all the TikTok love that made me think, you know what, we need to jump on this while we got an open weekend.
If there's any chance that you can get white people to dance badly, by God, they're going to take it.
Oh,
start dancing, throw them limbs around, boy.
Well, the thing about it is that white people just want to be told how to dance.
Yeah,
that's the secret. Is that like white people for the most part just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do that.
Yeah, I want to be Chris Penn from Footloose. Just you need to take me around.
I had to take flogging lessons for 2 years.
When you got to impress the in-laws, you know what to do.
Clogging.
Let me break out the old clogs.
But as you say,
I love this creature, this big giant whatever wolfen creature
the bad
thing
guy in the
this
woods.
is, with the giant eyes and everything. That seems like just on the cusp of a Burton, but not quite all the way there, which is kind of what I like. We're just about there, but not. We don't go over the top.
It's on the border of cartoon scary and just scary. Like it's something maybe from a James Gunn written Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah, I think, and because this is like, what do you say the audience is for this? What do you think their demo, what they're aiming for? Yeah, well, like 12 to 16?
I was going to say, if my timeline is any indication, pretty much anyone who is a parent is watching it, and their kids are probably, if they're girls, they're watching it probably up to 16, and if they're boys, they're watching it in college. I promise you.
and if they're boys, they're men in their 40s. Do a podcast.
you know what I'm saying. I mean, I was probably I was in college when Boy Meets World was on, and I noticed Topanga. So it happens.
See, it's fine. Like it's great because like all of these the girls of my youth are all getting into the old area there, and good times for me. I'll tell you that much.
Getting into the old area.
Area, Sean. The area of the old.
I'm just listen. I'm trying not to be
the old area.
I'm trying to have a little bit of class, and I don't want to say things that could be misconstrued or taken badly. So I just decided to err on stupid instead. Can't you let me be?
I'd love it if you followed it up with like the most disgusting, offensive thing you could think of, and then that would shut us up.
Oh, and All right, before we get to our final review, we have to ask ourselves one very important question: is how this Netflix program relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Ooh.
Hey, Sly. Kat Stone is the product placement coordinator on Wednesday. She also worked on Creed, which stars you. Since 2007, she's been the signal man on the road construction crew of Hollywood, but there's a chance that you might know her as Kat Axelrod or Kat Wallace. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for all the different names, but let's not be reasonable. Let's throw around some wild conjecture. Maybe Kat Stone has 3 different names because she's a real-life Black Widow. And there's a detective hot on her trail, but she's always a half a step ahead of him. I don't know how he fell down the stairs, officer. We had a few glasses of wine, but usually Mark knows how to hold his drink. No, that's Mark with a C. She's amassing a fortune, and she knows that if she hits a certain dollar amount, she's basically above the law, and she won't have to work anymore as a product placement coordinator. Kat Stone got into product placement because it was a good paying job, but it's not her passion, you know? Her passion is designing parkas for small, underweight, teacup-sized dogs, something she plans on starting if she can just stay ahead of that meddlesome detective just a few years longer. And even if Kat Stone is eventually caught, she has a backup plan for that, too. She's been writing a novel on her experiences she plans to publish through her sister to be optioned for a Netflix limited true crime miniseries. Title of the novel: Satan's Lambada Partner. She wants TV movie stalwart Poppy Montgomery to play her in the movie. I had to look it up. Poppy Montgomery. And there you have it, Mr. Stallone. This week's Stallone Connection is product placement coordinator Kat Stone. I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet.
Oh, Poppy.
Poppy Montgomery.
Poppy, come here, Poppy. Here at Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system, but since we're only halfway through, let's talk about, do we want to devote another HMP episode to the second half of this here program? Bruce?
I say yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally fine with that.
All right, so yeah, all right. Well, I guess we'll do it then. So, but I was shocked at how much I really like this, and like
once I said yes and then was quiet, I started to realize maybe you wanted some discussion. So I like it.
There you go. That's all. It's just like yeah. But that's how much, dear listener, you know that this show is decent because we didn't even have to think about it too hard. It was just like, do we want to look at the second half of this? Yeah, it's good enough to where it looks like we will. So
I could also see this show, though, going into a second season, a third season, where we're like, oh, my God, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, by the third season, Jenny Ortega's gone gray, because she makes a lot of movies, so there's like 7 years between the seasons.
I'll say this. The smart thing for them to do will be to just kind of have a hard out for this thing. Come up with an idea, have your story, and then just, I know it's because the idea is, money. I mean, we're still doing how many seasons of Stranger Things have we gone past? What
they have just started pre-production on their 5th and final season.
But again, at the same time too, in how many years? It still gets out to be a lot. So that they will milk it if it's Netflix and if it's quite popular. So hopefully they don't go too awful long into the milking category. But at the same time too, I think Jenny Ortega is going to get big enough to where it's not going to. That's not going to be a problem. Is that she's just going to be like, why would I do this? I got money.
Well, I was also going to say, though, if she did end up doing it for years, unlike Stranger Things, they cast someone who's already kind of finished growing, so she's not going to be double her size in season 3.
All the coffee and cigarettes have been so good for that girl on the sets of those Nickelodeon shows. They treat them well over there.
It's all forced perspective. In real life, she's actually taller than Gwendolyn Christie.
Peter Jackson directed this whole thing.
Jenny Ortega 2 inches taller than Brittany Griner.
Unbelievable. Well, that is it, everybody. We'll talk about what we're doing next week in just a moment. But in the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I've been relaxing a little bit, but you can always go see some of my old videos on YouTube at youtube.com/c/Bruce Leslie. And there'll probably be some new ones up soon.
Sean.
We've got a show called 30 Questions, where each week we ask 30 questions of some nerdy property. We be on hiatus right now, but once The Mandalorian starts back up, season 3, we're just doing 30 more questions about each episode.
Start your engines. I'm excited. I can't. It's a little bit too far away that it seems like sometimes, but as we know on this here program, that can turn around and smack you real fast, and you're like, it's what now? Oh wow, it's already here.
Never ever complain that there's not enough to cover ever again.
And speaking of just surprising you right around the corner here, nearly 2 decades on after its release, we're finally getting Avatar 2. And will it be any good? We don't know. We have no idea. But James Cameron is the Tom Brady of filmmaking. You can't count him out in the fourth quarter. Shoot, there's a good chance he can come through. You never know.
I was going to predict it'll be the 2 Jakes of sci-fi.
Oof, he can only hope. That's not true at all. But at the same time, like I said, I'm paying the big bucks. I'm going the whole route. 4DX. 3D, moving, crap throwing in my face, wind, probably bubbles, maybe some water, because it is a water-based program. So
they missed you. I've watched one.
It's just bubbles now. Like Lawrence.
I watched that one movie in 4DX. I can't even remember what it was, but I watched a movie in 4DX, and they just missed you.
I've seen 4 or 5, and some of them are pretty good. But I'll have a full report on that. And if you should go see Avatar 2: The Way of Water. That is it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking Avatar 2. For Sweet Johnson Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porteous. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Now I was cool, just relax around the house. When I knock, and a voice, yo, can Hammer come out? Now I don't mind being a friend and showing a little bit of flavor. But Wednesday, Bugsley, Gomez, Festa, man, them some strange neighbors. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. I remember the day I needed to ball a little bit of pepper. The next thing you know, coming in me was a hand with the fingers I stepped. Now I tried to play it on off and act like I'm having a ball. But what do I see? A perm with feet, standing about 3 feet tall. I'm out of here. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. And thinking about the atoms, you know the Hammer is with it. Act a fool, no bones, swoop, Goofy and Randy, you know we kick it. Now it's the time to get it in your mind. It's okay to be yourself. Take foolish pride and put it aside like the atoms. Yo, they did. That's a family. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, kick and they slap a friend. Just like that. Oh, yeah. You know, you got the feelings thing. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. I'm telling you, I saw the hand. Thing, man. I do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. Yeah, thank you, Festa. I need you to go back to the bridge just then. Thank you. Now check this out. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, think and they slap a friend. They do what they wanna do, say what they wanna say, live how they wanna live, play how they wanna play, dance how they wanna dance, kick and they slap a friend.